You know that feeling. It's a bitter, unsettling sensation that settles deep in your gut, a cold knot of dread and indignation when you're standing there, watching injustice unfold, or perhaps experiencing it firsthand. Your heart rate quickens, your breath hitches, your thoughts race, and all you can think is, here we go again, this familiar, crushing pattern. What now? You feel the weight of expectation, the insidious pressure to just let it go, to not make a scene, to swallow the indignity and move on. You're told it's just policy, just how things are, or worse, with that condescending tone, you're being too sensitive. You feel completely powerless. You feel invisible. Your voice feels trapped, unheard, or worse, deliberately misinterpreted. But what if I told you that in those very moments, precisely when you feel most diminished, you actually hold surprising potent power? That a quiet voice, a precisely cited policy line, a steadfast witness who instinctively hits record, or a manager who, for once, actually reads and upholds the rule, can utterly flip the script? It's not about theatrical grand gestures. It's about strategic, calm courage. It's about deeply knowing your worth, understanding the system you operate within, and consciously choosing dignity over despair, agency over apathy. I've seen it happen, not just in movies, but in quiet boardrooms, at airport gates, in hushed bank lobbies. The room goes quiet, suddenly holding its collective breath, as if time itself has paused. A CEO badge, once just a fleeting glint of metal on a lapel, is revealed to carry unexpected transformative weight. A multi-million dollar contract, hanging precariously, abruptly pauses, then decisively shifts direction. A genuine, unprompted apology finally lands, heavy with accountability. This isn't fantasy. This is real life, played out in moments of quiet resolve. What if I told you about the quiet, deliberate step that doesn't just navigate, but actually flips a 500-meter deal, or the three potent words, rooted in fact and policy, that can freeze a racist policy dead in its tracks, leaving an echoing silence in its wake? These pivotal moments happen, and they're not about screaming louder or matching anger with anger. They're about knowing the rules, understanding leverage, holding your ground with unwavering calm, and allowing your undeniable competence to speak for itself, even when others are actively trying to silence or diminish it. You've been minimized, you've been dismissed, you've been underestimated, but you are not, and never were, powerless. Think about it. We've all been there. That excruciating moment of indignity, of being talked over, deliberately interrupted, made to feel small, overlooked for opportunities you've not just earned, but painstakingly built. It's an exhausting, relentless assault that seeps into your very bones. That constant, draining battle to be seen, to be heard, to be valued for your actual contributions, your innovative ideas, your lived experience, not for someone's superficial, often prejudiced, preconceived notions of who you are or what you're capable of. It's the subtle glances, the dismissive hand gestures, the way your ideas are ignored only to be praised when repackaged by a more acceptable colleague. I vividly remember a colleague, Anya Sharma, a truly brilliant mind, an innovative architect of complex digital solutions. She always saw angles no one else did, consistently bringing fresh, transformative perspectives to old, entrenched problems. She was, in every sense of the word, exceptional. Her work ethic was legendary, her technical acumen unparalleled. She had poured months of her life, countless late nights, and profound intellectual energy into developing a groundbreaking data integration model for a new, multi-million dollar tech client. This wasn't just a project, it was the cornerstone of the firm's strategic future, a testament to what was possible when brilliant minds were allowed to flourish. The stakes were incredibly high, almost dizzying in their scope. The client, a global leader in sustainable energy, known for its rigorous standards, was notoriously discerning, demanding absolute excellence. Her manager, Mark Jensen, was a different breed entirely. Polished, articulate, always dressed impeccably in custom suits, Mark was a grandmaster of corporate theater. He was notorious for managing up with slick, often superficial presentations that took credit for others' work, and managing down with an almost imperceptible yet deeply cutting condescension. This was particularly true towards anyone he perceived as a potential threat to his meticulously crafted image, or simply anyone who didn't fit his narrow, often homogeneous vision of corporate success. He'd often subtly undermine Anya, making seemingly innocuous comments about her different perspective, her unique cultural background, or her artistic flair. Whenever she proposed something that challenged his established comfort zone or demanded a shift in his worldview, you know the drill, don't you? It's not an outright slur, no vulgar epithet screamed across a room. It's far more insidious because it cloaks itself in plausible deniability. It's that slow, corrosive chipping away at your credibility, your confidence, your sense of belonging. It's designed to make you question yourself, to make others in the room question your intellect, your suitability, your very right to occupy that space. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, meticulously applied, designed to isolate, to diminish, to ultimately eject. The morning of the decisive presentation arrived, charged with palpable tension. The boardroom was a monument to modern corporate power, sleek, minimalist, all glass and polished steel, reflecting the nervous energy and high stakes of the meeting. Mr. Chen, the CEO of the client company, a man renowned for his calm, sharp intelligence, his quiet but absolute authority, and his uncompromising demand for verifiable excellence, sat at the head of the expansive table. His gaze, steady and piercing, seemed to absorb every minute detail, every unspoken nuance. Anya, meticulously prepared, armed with data and an unshakable belief in her solution, launched into her presentation. She was mid-flow, eloquently explaining the intricate logic of her revolutionary data integration model, the elegant solution she'd personally developed that promised to revolutionize the client's operational efficiency across continents. Her passion for the project, her deep granular understanding of every byte, every algorithm, every strategic implication was palpable, almost radiating from her. Then, just as she was building towards the crescendo, about to unveil the truly astonishing ROI projections, Mark struck. Smoothly, almost imperceptibly, he cut her off, mid-sentence, his smile a practiced mask. Anya, darling, he interjected, a patronizing, saccharine tone dripping from his voice. Let's keep it simple for our friends here. They don't need the granular details of your artistic interpretations. We're talking business here, not a coding competition. He chuckled, a superficial, hollow sound that hung uncomfortably in the air, his eyes flicking to Mr. Chen for an approving nod. The implication was stark, brutal, and utterly dismissive. Anya was overly technical, perhaps even a bit naive. Certainly not someone to trust with the big picture strategic implications. She was, in his mind, a mere cog. A brilliant technician, perhaps, but definitely not a visionary leader. Anya felt the familiar, unwelcome heat rise in her chest, the immediate, visceral urge to lash out, to defend her intelligence, her months of arduous work, her very right to speak with authority. Her heart pounded, a primal drumbeat of fight or flight. That's the common, deeply human mistake, isn't it? We get caught in that emotional whirlwind. The anger, the frustration, the stinging feeling of being disrespected. It's all so consuming, so disorienting. We react, we argue with the abuser on their terms, without evidence, without a cohesive strategy. We frantically try to prove our worth to someone who has already made the prejudiced decision to diminish it. It exhausts us, it drains our precious energy, and often, tragically, it changes absolutely nothing, leaving us feeling even more defeated, more hollow, more unseen than before. But Anya had done her prep. She knew this specific infuriating dance with Mark, a dance she'd unwillingly performed countless times before. This time, she had made an unequivocal, unyielding decision. It would be different. She would not cede an inch of her dignity, her hard won authority, or her rightful space in that room. She took a slow, deliberate, deep breath, feeling the cool air fill her lungs, a tiny internal anchor in the storm that threatened to erupt within her. She centered herself, feeling her feet firmly on the plush carpet beneath the table, drawing strength from the ground. She met Mr. Chen's gaze directly, holding it for a beat, a silent acknowledgement of the professional respect they shared, and perhaps a subtle plea for him to see beyond Mark's performance. Then, with an almost imperceptible shift, she turned her calm, unwavering focus back to Mark. Her voice, when it came, was clear, steady, and utterly devoid of any emotional tremor. It was not loud, but it resonated with an unyielding force. Mark, she began, her tone even, almost academic. I genuinely appreciate your input, but as per the project governance document, specifically section 4.3.2, client presentations for solutions of this scope require a full comprehensive technical overview by the designated lead architect, which in this instance is me. She didn't rush, didn't stammer. My data integration model alone, Mr. Chen, she continued, turning slightly back to the client, her voice now direct and confident, stands to reduce your global operational overhead by a conservatively projected 20% in the first year. We can skip directly to the detailed projected return on investment, or I can walk you through the architecture brief right now, exactly as was planned and explicitly outlined in our preliminary agenda. The room went utterly silent. A bank lobby holding its breath as a vault door slowly swings shut. Every single eye, suddenly wide with a mixture of surprise and growing understanding, was riveted. The air crackled with a sudden, sharp, almost painful tension. That was it, the sentence that stops the room. Mark, for the very first time anyone in that room had ever witnessed, looked genuinely flustered, visibly unnerved, his meticulously constructed facade of control, of suave dismissal, visibly cracked, showing the raw insecurity beneath. His ego, confronted not by emotional defensiveness, but by cold, hard, verifiable policy, by undeniable facts, by sheer, quiet, irrefutable competence, visibly deflated, almost shrinking into itself. This wasn't an argument he could win with charm or with his usual thinly veiled condescension. This was a statement of fact, backed by documentation, delivered with absolute unshakable authority. Policy beats ego every single time. It doesn't need to scream. It simply states the undeniable objective truth of the rules, the agreed upon framework, and the established procedure. Mr. Chen, who had remained impassive, almost statue like, throughout Mark's ill timed interruption, now leaned forward slightly, his expression shifting from unreadable to one of quiet approval. His gaze flickered from Anya to Mark, then settled back firmly on Anya, a subtle nod conveying a profound message of trust. Please, Miss Sharma, he said, his voice even, clear, and now carrying an undeniable weight of expectation and genuine interest. Continue with the architecture. Brief. We are, in fact, exceedingly keen on the details. especially those that so significantly impact a 20% operational overhead reduction. Anya nodded, a quiet acknowledgement of his crucial support, a silent agreement to proceed. She picked up exactly where she had left off. But this time, her presentation wasn't just a flow of information. It was infused with an unspoken, undeniable confidence, a quiet power that commanded the space. She didn't just continue, she owned the room. She shone. She answered every single technical question from Mr. Chen, and there were many sharp, probing questions with precise, comprehensive details, showcasing not just her encyclopedic knowledge of the project, but her complete ownership, her total mastery of the solution. Mark sat there, rigid, silent, his face a mask of barely concealed fury, shock, and mounting dread. He was completely sidelined, a nonentity, rendered utterly irrelevant in his own meeting. After the presentation concluded, the air still humming with the energy of successful, impactful delivery, Mr. Chen rose from his seat. He walked directly to Anya, bypassing Mark entirely, his steps deliberate, unhurried. He extended his hand, his grip firm and respectful. "Miss Sharma," he said, his voice imbued with genuine admiration, "your work is truly exceptional, phenomenal. Your team's innovative approach is precisely what we need to transform our global operations to meet our ambitious sustainability goals. I'm especially impressed by the clarity, the depth, and the sheer elegance of your technical architecture. It's truly rare to find such profound technical brilliance combined with such acute strategic vision." Then he paused, a subtle, almost imperceptible shift in his demeanor, a quiet steel entering his voice as he glanced at Mark, who was now attempting to subtly interject with a forced, desperate smile. "Mark," Mr. Chen continued, his tone polite but unmistakably final, "thank you for facilitating this meeting today. However, going forward, and for the remainder of this multi-year partnership, I prefer to deal directly with the actual project lead. The complexities of this integration, particularly the sensitive data migration, the critical security protocols, and the long-term strategic alignment, require someone with a direct line to strategic decisions and, frankly, the clear authority to execute them without unnecessary layers or intermediaries." He looked back at Anya, his smile broadening, a truly knowing glint in his eyes. "Perhaps you could provide me with your direct contact information, Miss Sharma. We need to finalize some terms. And I understand you're also the head of our entire digital transformation division now, correct? Congratulations again on that well-deserved promotion, by the way. It's excellent news." The day the badge flipped, you could almost feel the air leave the room in a collective gasp, replaced by a stunned, deafening silence. Mark's jaw literally dropped. He had absolutely no idea. Zero. He'd been so utterly consumed by his own small-minded power games, his deeply ingrained prejudiced assumptions about Anya's place in the corporate hierarchy, that he hadn't even bothered to look up her actual title, her actual meteoric trajectory within the company. He had completely, willfully dismissed the fact that Anya had weeks ago been promoted to head of digital transformation, a role that put her not just a level or two, but several significant layers above him, a role he'd somehow managed to ignore, or perhaps simply couldn't fathom a woman of color holding such profound influence. He saw her, and his unconscious bias told him she must be junior, subordinate, easily dismissed, a mere support function. His bias cost him. It cost him profoundly, right there, in front of the most important client the firm had coveted in years. The bias that cost Wumby was vividly on display, though the cost here was for his career. Mr. Chen, seeing Mark's stunned, mortified face, simply offered Anya a calm, triumphant smile. "It's always a genuine pleasure to work with real leadership. And Ms. Sharma, I look forward to signing this deal. directly with you as soon as your team is ready. The $500 million contract wasn't just secured, it was secured on Anya's terms, with her dignity not just intact but elevated, celebrated. Mark's prejudiced assumptions were not just dismantled, they were exposed, humiliated, and utterly destroyed. Big deal, bigger dignity. Anya's quiet strength, her calm courage had created a powerful, undeniable ripple effect that extended far beyond that boardroom. This wasn't a spontaneous miracle, fueled by raw, unchecked emotion or desperate pleading. Anya had prepared. She knew the playbook. She understood that while injustice often thrives and festers in chaos, in emotional reactions, and in a vacuum of information, true justice often emerges from calm, deliberate action, meticulously backed by facts, robust policy, and unwavering self possession. And you can cultivate this power too. When you face that moment, that insidious microaggression, that outright disrespect, that attempt to diminish your humanity or your competence, here's a 10-minute mini ritual, your personal justice prep, designed to give you less fear, more clarity, and ultimately, more dignity. It's not just a set of steps, it's a tool for inner peace, for external power, and for the preservation of your most precious asset, your self respect. Your 10-minute justice prep, building your unshakable core of agency. 1. Centered breath and grounding. 2 minutes. Before you step into that challenging meeting, before you pick up that phone, before you even begin to draft that emotionally charged email, take a moment. Find a quiet spot. It could be a brief moment in a bathroom stall, a corner of your office, or a few seconds in your car. If possible, close your eyes. Take 5 deep, slow breaths. Inhale deeply through your nose, feeling your chest and belly expand. Hold for a count of 4. Then exhale slowly through your mouth, consciously letting go of any tension. Feel your feet firmly on the ground, rooting you, connecting you to the earth. This isn't about ignoring emotion, frustration, anger, fear, indignation. It's about acknowledging it, allowing it to pass, and then consciously choosing not to let it control your immediate response. This vital pause, this deliberate moment of internal calm, is precisely where your true power begins to reside. It's your sanctuary, your strategic advantage. 2. Posture and presence. And 1 minute. Your physical stance profoundly impacts your mental state and how others perceive you. If you're standing, stand tall, shoulders back but relaxed, chin level, not defiant but poised. Your eyes should be steady, maintaining calm, direct eye contact, not aggressive but unwavering. If you're sitting, sit up straight, both feet planted firmly on the floor. Project an aura of calm, unshakable confidence. When you speak, aim for a low, steady, even voice. Avoid shrillness, rushing your words, or allowing your voice to crack with emotion. Confidence isn't about aggression or a loud display. It's about grounded self possession, a quiet, resonant authority that speaks volumes without ever needing to shout. 3. Policy and powerful phrase. 3 minutes. This is where you proactively arm yourself with knowledge, your most effective weapon. Open your phone or a small notebook. Have that specific company policy number, that relevant paragraph from the employee handbook, that core company value or that specific legal statute pulled up and ready for immediate reference. Know the facts. Ignorance often thrives on vague statements, on bluster, and on assumed, unchallenged authority. Your precise knowledge is your most formidable shield. And crucially, prepare a neutral, powerful phrase. Something like, I'd like to understand the exact policy you're referring to, specifically the section on XYZ, for my records. Or, Can you clarify how that specific request aligns with company value X? Or, if direct confrontation and escalation are necessary, please call your supervisor. I need to report a concern about specific incident behavior immediately. The best justice tool has no shouting. It's a calm, well placed, precise question, backed by verifiable facts and delivered with unyielding conviction. It's a strategic incision, a surgical strike, not a blunt force attack. This is the proof that ends the excuse. 4. Engage witness mode. 4 minutes. Get ready to meticulously document everything, even if it's just mentally at first. Note the exact time, the precise date, the specific location, and the full, accurate names of all individuals involved. Who else is in the room? Could they be an ally or a potential witness who might corroborate your account? If permissible by local laws and company policy, always, always check these rules beforehand. Have your phone camera ready, even if it's just in your pocket or visibly placed on the table, not actively recording. Sometimes, just the visible presence of a recording device or the simple, deliberate act of noting down details in a notebook can significantly shift the dynamic, prompting a change in behavior. Silence is evidence. Record, report. The proof that ends the excuse is often found in the meticulous details you gather, the narrative you systematically build. Anya's quiet, strategic steps led to a loud, undeniable, and deeply satisfying result. Mark was swiftly and thoroughly investigated. The company's HR department, prompted not only by Anya's formal complaint, but also by Mr. Chen's direct, unequivocal report, conducted a comprehensive review. His insidious history of similar, subtle, yet corrosive, microaggressive behavior, incidents previously dismissed, ignored, or simply tolerated, was finally uncovered, meticulously documented, and given the serious weight it deserved. He was eventually terminated, not just for his blatant prejudice and undermining of a senior leader, but for his sheer, unpardonable incompetence in failing to recognize, respect, and strategically support top talent, crucial to the company's success. It was a clear, unambiguous message sent throughout the organization. This kind of behavior would no longer be tolerated. The company itself, under Anya's expanded leadership and direct guidance, didn't just sweep the incident under the rug. They used it as a critical learning moment. They implemented mandatory, enhanced diversity and inclusion training, not as a tick-box compliance exercise, but as a direct, transparent, and heartfelt response to a concrete incident. Anya herself became a pivotal figure in designing and leading these new initiatives, ensuring that the systemic fixes were deeply embedded, culturally relevant, and truly transformative, changing the culture from the inside out. Allies in the room, like Mr. Chen, unequivocally change outcomes. His willingness to speak up, to acknowledge precisely what he saw, and to leverage his influence was absolutely critical. He became a strong vocal advocate for Anya, ensuring her future projects received not only the necessary resources but the public recognition and high-level support they deserved. Justice can happen, real, tangible, systemic justice, leading to firings, to policy changes, to true accountability. Always respect your limits. Your physical and emotional safety must always unequivocally be your absolute priority. Avoid physical confrontation at all costs. These strategies are about using policy, presence, and meticulous documentation to protect your dignity, to assert your agency, and to seek accountability, not to escalate to violence or put yourself at undue risk. Document and escalate through proper, established channels. Remember, laws and company policies vary significantly by place and by organization. Always, always adapt your approach accordingly. If you ever feel you are in immediate physical danger, Prioritize your safety above all else. Seek immediate help from authorities, trusted friends, family, or colleagues. These steps are about empowering you within a robust framework of safety and responsible, courageous action. You don't need a CEO badge or a multi-million-dollar contract in your name to flip the script and reclaim your power. You already possess the most powerful tools within you: clarity of purpose, unwavering courage, and a well thought out plan. 3 calm steps, 1 loud, undeniable result. It's not about being fearless, but about acting with courage despite the fear that will inevitably arise. It's about less panic, more proof, more power. So, what's your next move? I challenge you right now to choose one action today to begin building or refining your personal justice toolkit. Maybe it's as simple as saving the HR policy numbers for discrimination or harassment, along with the company's core values, in your phone's notes, ready for quick access. Maybe it's setting up a quick access shortcut on your device for a calm, powerful, policy backed phrase. Or perhaps it's identifying just one trusted ally in your workplace or community, someone you can confide in, strategize with, and rely on for support. Then, tonight, or before your next challenging interaction, try that 10-minute justice prep ritual. Feel the profound shift. Feel the quiet, yet immense power that comes from being prepared, from choosing agency over despair, from knowing you have a plan. What action will you start today? And what specific scenario? What kind of injustice? What particular environment do you want to see covered next? Tell me in the comments below. Let's keep building this toolkit, this network of courage, this blueprint for dignity together. You are not alone in this fight.